The neighbor who doesn't exist. Caitlin had just moved into a new apartment building in the heart of London. Fresh out of university, she'd landed a job at a big company and was excited to start this new chapter of her life. The apartment was small but cozy, the neighbors seemed polite and quiet, and everything felt perfect, except for one thing. The apartment across the hall was always locked, and Caitlin never saw anyone enter or leave. In the first week, she thought the tenants were simply away or kept odd hours. But after a month, she began to notice strange things. Every night at exactly 2 a.m., faint footsteps echoed from the apartment across the hall. The sound was soft but deliberate, as though someone was pacing back and forth. After a few minutes, the steps would stop, and the silence would return. One evening, as she was coming home from work, Caitlin ran into an elderly neighbor named Mary, who lived upstairs. While chatting, Caitlin casually mentioned the mysterious apartment. Mary's face turned pale, and she hurried to end the conversation, leaving Caitlin with just one cryptic remark: "You'd do best to ignore whoever's in there." That only fueled Caitlin's curiosity. The next time she heard the footsteps at night, she couldn't resist. Creeping out of bed, she approached the door across the hall. Pressing her ear to the wooden surface, she strained to listen. The footsteps suddenly stopped. Then came the whispering. The voice was faint, almost inaudible, but Caitlin could swear she heard it saying her name. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stumbled back from the door. The next day, she called the building's management to ask about the apartment. "It's vacant," the administrator replied. "No one's lived there for years." That night, the footsteps returned. This time, they were louder. It sounded like someone was pacing closer and closer to her own door. Caitlin froze in her bed, her eyes fixed on the faint light seeping through the crack under her door. A shadow passed across the gap. Terrified, Caitlin grabbed her phone and called the police. When the officers arrived, they forced open the door to the empty apartment. Inside, they found nothing but thick layers of dust. Yet, in the middle of the dust-covered floor, there were fresh footprints. Bare footprints. And they led straight to Caitlin's door. The next morning, Caitlin packed her things and moved out. She never went back to that building. But even now, every night at exactly 2 a.m., she wakes up, convinced she can hear those footsteps again.